But jailed sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell has made some shocking allegations about the Duchess of York. Now, it's not like Ghislaine Maxwell is certainly someone who could be trusted, but what did she say about Fergie's involvement with Jeffrey Epstein?
Right. So this was all from that interview last month with the US Department of Justice that was conducted in the prison. Ghislaine was asked about a myriad of topics, and including on that was the Duke and Duchess of York. So she actually contradicted Prince Andrew. He has publicly claimed that he met Jeffrey Epstein through Ghislaine, because they knew each other socially. He knew Ghislaine already in the 80s on the London social scene, and that was how he was introduced to her. She said that's not true. She said it was Fergie. So Fergie knew Jeffrey Epstein first, allegedly, and that was how the introduction was made. And Ghislaine said she felt left out of it because she did know the Yorks socially, but their connection with Epstein was not through her. And so she felt quite funny about it. And she actually felt, which I thought was quite embarrassing for Fergie, she claimed that she felt that Fergie was trying to put the moves on Epstein. So this is back in the 90s when Andrew and Fergie are separated by that point. Epstein is obviously this mysterious financier guy, and allegedly Ghislaine felt that Fergie was trying to put the moves on him romantically. So, you know, that's a huge change from what Andrew has said publicly. He's always he's never mentioned Fergie in the context of Epstein. He's always said that he knew Epstein through Ghislaine Maxwell, and that was it. So I think this completely raises questions and doubts about the circumstances there. We do know that Fergie, notoriously, she had a lot of debts. We know that in the 2000s, Epstein stepped up and paid off some of her personal debts. She later called this a massive error of judgment. She publicly apologised for that. A terrible decision by Fergie. But again, this is this constant sort of headlines and all of these, historical things coming up again. I think it's terrible for the royal family and terrible for Fergie and Andrew.
Yeah. Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie could one day receive a whopping inheritance despite their parents' financial problems. What do we know about the finances?
Yeah, so this has been one that's come up again recently because, as usual, a lot of things when we talk about the York family, it's all about Royal Lodge. Because the fact of the matter is, as much as the royal family is trying to hide them away, they live in one of the largest properties in the Crown Estate, the Royal Lodge. So that is under a 75-year lease. We know this now for the last couple of years that it's an ironclad lease. Efforts to move Andrew and Fergie out of that house have failed because the lease has taken precedence in terms of negotiations. So there's a conversation now about, well, what happens to the lease in the event that Fergie and Andrew pass away? It's a 75-year lease. They're only about 20 years in. So there's still over 50 years left on this lease agreement, which is basically, you can't not enforce it. So the kind of conversation is, all right, will it pass down to Beatrice and Eugenie? They could possibly inherit the lease. Unclear how the royal family would feel about this. They're not working royals. They're definitely, proud members of the royal family. They're in the inner circle, especially with William, but whether they actually take on the lease, I don't know. I don't think that they would risk it. I think that King Charles already provides grace and favour apartments for Beatrice and Eugenie, so I think that they probably wouldn't want to rock the boat. In terms of inheritance, we also know that there's at least 2 trusts that they benefit from. The first one was set up when Andrew and Fergie divorced in 1996. The Queen put £2 million in a trust account for Beatrice and Eugenie's benefit. So, and you can imagine in the 90s, £2 million then to £2 million today. I'm sure with interest and investing, that is probably a lot more. So I think that that's probably what they're living off now. I mean, they have careers, but in terms of their lifestyle, I'm sure that money's come in handy. They're also going to be receiving a big payday in a couple of years because their great-grandmother, the Queen Mother, put a lot of her wealth into a trust for the 10 Windsor grandchildren. Beatrice and Eugenie are beneficiaries. And that's kind of a quirky trust. That trust it pays out when they turn 40. So they're now in their mid-30s. So they will be coming into a big chunk of money in a couple of years' time.
Yeah, not too far away. Now, royal bride Harriet Sterling is reportedly being put to the test at Balmoral ahead of her wedding to Peter Phillips. Now, the question is, of course, will Harriet win the approval of the royal family? Yeah,
I think that the Balmoral test is this sort of storied kind of tradition where new members of the royal family or people marrying into the royal family head up to Scotland and they spend time with the whole royal family because, of course, as we know, everyone gathers there in the English summertime. They hunt, they fish. It's sort of this wild lifestyle. It was definitely Queen Elizabeth's passion, was spending time at Balmoral. And Harriet, this is Harriet's first time spending time at Balmoral. I think that she'll probably fit in great. I think that she's a wonderful addition, frankly, to the royal family. And it is important for the royal family to spend time with her, because even though Peter Phillips is not a working royal, he does attend all of the family events. He's at Christmas at Sandringham. He's around the royal family constantly. So naturally, I think there's curiosity for members of the royal family to meet Harriet. I think that in terms of picking a bride, you couldn't do much better than an NHS nurse. I think you would be hard pressed to find anyone in the UK that has anything less than complete admiration and respect for an NHS worker. So I think she'll pass with flying colours.
Reilly Sullivan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.